Hey guys, this is Moriarty.
And this is Crypto Spook.
And today we're taking a look at Mafia 3 for the PC.
The much-hated for no reason game.
I enjoyed this game, and I enjoyed most of it. Obviously it has a couple of problems, but I think most of the games do today. And this is a standard third-person GTA type of game.
Open world shooter.
Open world shooter. It's very standard in that way, but it has a lot to offer, and a lot of the game is really gorgeous. As long as you go out and find it, it's well done. I think the problem is that people are expecting Mafia. At the very least, they're expecting Mafia 2, and this really shouldn't even be in that same category. Yeah, you have some of the same characters coming back, but it's not Mafia. It's Godfather, the game, 3. It's another GTA. It's just not the same as the original Mafia, which was way more advanced in this game.
And I'd like to point out that it is absolutely not locked to 30 FPS. There was a review copy that went out for people, and it was locked to 30 FPS. They fixed that immediately, so don't let that deter you from the game.
No, in fact, it's unlimited FPS now. One of the ways that they had stealth in the game was that you could just call people with a whistle, and they would come over.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Its combat is very, very easy. Easier than Grand Theft Auto. I was actually really disappointed at the police in the game. The game itself is actually pretty fun. I enjoyed it. But the police, they're just another gang in the city.
Oh, really? I don't know. Those guys seem to have spawned out of nowhere.
You'll get that a lot. People randomly show up. But I'm thinking Mafia 1, where the police would give you a ticket for speeding.
What? I've never played a Mafia game, let me say that.
So one of my biggest issues with this game is the fact that you had these little mini games, sort of like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, where you had to go and unlock a tower or whatever in order to unlock the items around it. And the way that this one did it is it had a little mini game where you had to wiretap phone things.
That's definitely Far Cry-esque.
Right.
Turn off the radios.
Exactly. And my problem was that it was clearly something they had done for a console.
Yeah, I'm sure that little circle thing probably didn't work well with a mouse.
It worked fine, but it was so easy with a mouse that it was actually a waste of my time, and it could have been removed entirely.
So shoehorn.
What I did find about the police, though, is that you end up, because of how incredibly dumb the police are in this game, you find yourself just sitting on the outskirts of their little blue area, and you can see that in the mini-map. They're searching within that blue area. They will never leave it. So you find yourself just sitting there, looking at your car, going, okay, come on, guys. I'm waiting for you guys to stop searching so that I can go ahead and start doing what I was doing.
It's a nice car, and a good song, too. I should play this game.
The music in this game is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It is my favorite part of the game. By far my favorite part of the game. The music is incredible. But in the original Mafia, if you were driving above the speed limit, you would get pulled over by a cop. They would follow you, and you had a choice. You could pull over, or they would call reinforcements. And then they would give you a ticket, and you had to pay that ticket out of the money that you had.
Damn. What if you were broke?
Then you went to jail. Game over.
So I guess if you're broke, don't stop.
Right, and then you're shooting at the cops and they're calling in reinforcements. The game's really pretty.
That's what I was gonna say.
It really is very pretty, and one of the things that they did that I really appreciated that changed this type of game for me is they have an auto-aiming when you're driving or in a boat or anything like that that allows you to target different things, whether it be a tire or the actual vehicle itself or the people in the vehicle.
That's really useful.
Super useful. The driving in this game is incredibly loose. It's more like driving an arcade than any sort of simulation, which is kind of sad because the original Mafia was designed first as a driving simulator before it was a game.
Surprising. I remember reading something about, maybe it was Mafia 2, where there was a race car mission that you had to do.
Yeah, an actual race car. You drove a real race car.
Like the big old, wagon wheel looking wheels.
Yep.
Oh, I heard that was universally panned, but then again, I never played it.
So yeah, the Mafia 2 driving was a little bit more arcadey, but the first Mafia, the guy who started that game, he did it as a driving simulator, so it had super realistic driving. That's where you got things like the cops giving you tickets. Everything about the game was very, very, very realistic. Cars would be deformed, and this was back in, 2001, before GTA 3 came out. In fact, it was so advanced that when Rockstar saw Mafia, they released GTA 3 early so that they could be first to market with that style of game.
That's nuts.
So the entire story of this game, the plot of this game, is that you are going to get vengeance for what happened to you. I won't spoil what happened to you, but something happens and you're getting vengeance. So you have a couple of different plots that you end up doing over and over and over and over and over again. Here's how all of this works. So the plot becomes really repetitive after a certain while. The mission structure becomes very, very, very repetitive. The entire mission structure is, hey, here's a bad guy. He has 2 underbosses. You need to get them to come out because they won't show their faces. So go destroy their stuff, and then after you've destroyed enough stuff, they're going to come out to face you. I'm going to go break up this racket and cause enough damage that one of the 2 underbosses will come out. Then I can kill or turn the underboss, and after you've killed or turned 2 of them, the bigger boss will come out, and then you can kill him, and then you open up a new district. That's it, repetitively, over and over and over again. Each time you go, you find a little wire tapping box. It tells you where all the stuff is around the town. You go, you do those. You talk to a few people, and that's how you kind of get the districts behind you.
It's really fun looking. I like the fact that they have the underbosses like that. It kind of reminds me of
Shadows of Mordor?
The Shadow of Mordor, yes.
Exactly. Similar idea. I thought of that too.
Good choice on their part, because I did like that fact. That really was the first time I saw something like that in a game with Shadows of Mordor, and it was really well done.
Their Nemesis system, yeah. And it's a similar sort of thing here, but it's super repetitive. Shadows of Mordor was repetitive.
Yes, it was so repetitive. I remember that I think I replaced every single enemy in the entire game with somebody that I controlled.
Yeah, probably. Here you can see that we're going to go ahead and kill off a enforcer. If you leave enforcers alive, you have to fight them when you take out the boss. Again, very similar to Shadow of Mordor.
That's true, because you would have to go into like a rebel-held area and then kill all the people there.
Right. And you can do some optional missions as well to blow up things. And again, you can see the counter in the upper left-hand corner where we're hurting the boss in order to get him to come out.
By breaking up his ring here and causing damage to his equipment.
Right. Then he'll have to come out. At first, that's cool. It becomes so repetitive that you actually start saying, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to go do other things.
That's sad, when even a game telling you to blow stuff up is not as much fun as it could be.
One of the other things that was super annoying is that you go and clear out a zone to hurt an underboss and bring him out, right? And then you go back to one of those spots again to actually confront him, so he was there all along.
That's pretty annoying. This is some very graphic violence here. I like how that guy was just murdered violently, and the people over there don't even care.
It's one of those disconnects from the game. This is not the original Mafia, and I say that as a slight. This game is not as advanced as the original Mafia. That is kind of sad. If anything, think of this more like Godfather 2, the game, which was actually a pretty okay game, but it came out, 10 years ago, and it's this game, just not as graphically intense.
I don't think I ever played that game either. The violence in it's really good, though. Like, I like a lot of the hit images, like where you shoot somebody in the butt and they just run around holding their butt because they're like, oh, my butt! I was shot in the butt!
Altogether, the game's combat is actually quite a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to go in and shoot people. Headshots kill people, which I'm always a huge fan of. It's not a bad game. It's actually quite a lot of fun, and I'm not angry about it. It's just not as advanced as the original Mafia, which came out 15 years ago. This is not a Mafia game. It is Godfather 3.
You know, I will say that they did a good job on advertising, because I know the first time I saw an ad for this game, I'd never played a Mafia game. I looked at it and I said, wow, that looks really good. They sold me with this.
And you know, graphically, while it's not the prettiest game ever made, it is a good-looking game, and it is a lot of fun. And that's really my most important thing is I enjoyed playing it. And I played a lot of this game. As of the moment that we're recording, I think I'm about 30 hours into the game. And you know what? I still say, hey, I'm going to go play the game again. In fact, I was just telling you today, wasn't I, Crypto?
Yeah, you were like, I'm going to go play.
Yeah, I'm going to go play Mafia. It's a fun game. It is. It really is. That's the most important part of it to me. It's just kind of sad that it wasn't more. And I wonder if it wasn't, hey, guys, we have to release the game.
Well, how would you say the story is?
It's all right, but it really falls back on the mission structure. While every mission feels like you are actively pushing the story forward, which I really, really appreciate, because I never feel like I'm wasting my time. I feel like every single mission that I'm doing is actively improving and advancing the plotline. That plotline itself isn't terribly strong. It's a very standard revenge story. The original Mafia, its story was about somebody getting pulled into crime and crime being bad. The entire idea of the original Mafia was that you can't glorify the Mafia. It shows everything as bad as it possibly could be. This, on the other hand, makes you a stone-cold killer, and you revel in it. That being said, I'm not sure how they finish it up. I haven't gotten to that ending yet, but I just don't see how they can reconcile it. Some of the missions that you get are follow this guy. I had an error in every single follow mission up until the one that I decided to record, where if I followed them, they would instantly see me, jump out of their car, and start shooting.
That's unfortunate.
That being said, you get some really cool set pieces.
Yeah, some of that stuff was beautiful. That sunset?
I'm talking more about going into a garage underneath, a parking garage, and engaging in a firefight, and then stealing the drug dealer's money.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's really neat. It's something that you see in the movies, and you actually get a chance to do that occasionally. And this is not a mission. This is a totally random occurrence happening in the world, giving me an opportunity to do further opportunity damage.
That's kind of cool.
The entire plotline is presented as a flashback. It is sort of like a docudrama on TLC where they're talking to the people who lived through the situation. And then it's going from, here's the story, here's what happened, here's the FBI drama guy telling you, you know, when I followed Lincoln Clay, I'm not sure what he did that night, but I know the next morning Bacabelli woke up dead. And then you get to play the mission where you go kill the non-existent Bacabelli. On top of that, the cutscenes, absolutely gorgeous.
They really are. Like, this is some new age HDR stuff, man. It's crazy. Graphics really have come a long way.
And this is what I mean when I say that every plot feels like it extends the overall plot line. This was the response to a random mission where I had gone out and blown up some construction stuff. Then you get this cutscene in the middle of it saying, "You failed, Bobby."
Where is this taking place? Is this the South?
Yes.
Louisiana?
It is Louisiana.
Oh, I knew I could identify that accent.
This takes place in a non-existent city that is actually New Orleans.
Well, no wonder everybody's so sweaty.
All of the missions give you an opportunity to go in silent. The stealth is very much like Tomb Raider stealth. It's not all that inspired. You have a button you press that puts you into stealth mode, and when you're in stealth mode, people can't really tell where you are. If you have a silenced pistol and you have two people, and you shoot the guy walking behind him,
nobody knows where the shot came from.
The guy in front won't notice, because every silenced weapon is 100% silenced. Every stealth kill is 100% silenced. In fact, they could see you, and as long as you get out of the way fast enough, they won't know whatever. One of the few moments I found, hey, actually, that's pretty smart, is that if they don't know where you are, they will just start shooting randomly, which is super neat to see. To come around behind some guy with a AK assault rifle who's just blasting the hell out of a bush because he swears that's where the bullet came from.
That's kind of awesome.
It's neat.
So, bluffing enemies.
That's one of the few things that I went, oh my god, that's super cool.
Wow, that's a lot of yelling for people not to notice.
Right? And I mean, let's face it, that's not exactly stealthy, standing there with your giant 12-inch silencer hanging out the corner.
No, not really.
And you have this sort of like a Batman Arkham's detective mode. You can press a button where you can see everybody who's around you as long as you've seen them before, or you've wiretapped. If you put the wiretaps in, it gives you this.
Well, that works. Stealthily murdering everybody's not a bad way to go, though.
I enjoyed it. It reminded me, did you ever play the Hitman games?
I did. I was not very good at them.
I enjoyed them simply because I always enjoyed actually being the assassin who goes in there and blasts everybody. But nobody ever knows that you were there. The graphics in the games might look a little bit different than what you're seeing here, and that's because the very first thing I had to do was install a mod, because the game itself comes with this ugly fog and this yellow color that covers everything. You can see I'm switching between the mod and the not modded version. The not modded version is really ugly. And I understand
It really is.
they wanted it to look like it was an old-timey film, but it's so unattractive. And once you take that fog filter off, it looks so much better.
Looks like nowadays, you know?
It's just a more attractive game.
It really is. Like, I saw it flipping between that, and it was like, oh, there's some weird graphics artifacting or something.
It's just not an attractive look having that fog over everything, having this orangey yellow color over everything. And it was the very first thing I did, and I'm really happy I did it. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why so many people think this game looks ugly, because it has that fog. And if you take it off, it's not an ugly game at all.
And this was a day one mod?
Day one. My favorite part of the game by far was driving through the bayou. Leaving the city and going out into the deep, dark woods and driving around in the bayou, going through the swamps, seeing the alligators, getting on the boats. The city is the same thing that it always has been in every one of these types of games, but the bayou was gorgeous. I mean, look at this, driving through the bayou. It's so much prettier than any city in any one of these types of games.
It really is nice. And there's actually power lines and stuff. You don't really see that very often.
The game world is really, really well done.
Well, from what I've seen of the game, it really makes me want to play it.
Okay, guys, well, that's Mafia 3. I think you can tell that I enjoyed it.
And I think I kind of want to play it after watching some footage of it.
It's a really cool game. It's fun, which is way more important to me than anything else, even with the little graphical bugs that there are in there, even with the fact that the mission structure is very, very repetitive, and the story and plot aren't exactly inspired. As long as you go out and you get that mod that changes the graphics, it's also a very, very pretty game. It's not locked to 30 FPS, so it's unlimited at this point. And again, more important than anything else, it really is fun.
Alright guys, so that's The Godfather. I think I would pick it up.
If you like it, like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought. Did you pick up the game? Have you tried it? Do you agree with me? Let me know.
Until the next one.